Welcome to Talkin Bengals, a Bengals site made by the fans for the fans. Check out Talkin Bengals on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and also follow us at Talkin Bengals. Now, let's join the conversation. Hello and welcome to Talking Bengals episode 23. I know for our loyal fans out there, you were worried about us last week not doing an episode, but we decided to condense 2 weeks in to make you a great show for you. Nick, how you doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing all right. You got people shooting off fireworks around the house. 4th of July weekend. Happy 4th of July. Happy birthday to America.
Yes, definitely happy birthday, America. And we got lots to celebrate and lots of great things about freedom. One of the great freedoms in America is football. So let's get down to one of our favorite sports. So the NFL's top 100 players voted on by other players has been a big thing that NFL Network has been doing the last few seasons. And, I don't always buy into it too much because the Bengals seem to get shafted a little bit. I think it was 2 years ago, A.J. Green was like number 40. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. But this year, I think he's getting a lot of the respect he deserves. He made the top 20. He's actually number 17. So, Nick, what are you feeling about that?
I think it's showing respect for what A.J. Green can do. As long as he stays healthy, of course, that's always as long as, that's the big but in the whole situation. But, as long as he stays healthy, he's number one receiver in the entire league. He's got the best hands. He can cut on a dime. He's like what Chad Johnson was, He'd be covered in double coverage in a phone booth and he'd say he was open. The guy can catch a ball. The guy can cut on a dime. The guy's his footwork is just absolutely phenomenal. You can't say something that's bad about him, except for maybe going across the middle where he may lack a little bit of aggression, but he still catches the ball. So, I can't really be mad about him about anything that he does. He does it well, and he does it just as good or better than everybody else. So, A.J. Green, 17th best player, voted by the other players. I'd still say that's a little not good enough, but at the same time, at least he's getting some respect, and he's at least in the top 20 this year. So, A.J. Green, maybe next year you'll be in the top 5.
What gets me is there are 2 receivers in the top 5. You got like Julio Jones and Antonio Brown, which I think is almost absolute garbage to put them ahead of A.J. Green. A.J. Green's ball skills, the way he plays the game, he's an adamant professional. Julio, I'll give him a lot of credit. He's a great receiver. Antonio Brown, well, goodness gracious, if every ball was thrown to me, I'd probably have great numbers too. And not to mention he's a thug. And that's not just because he plays for the Pittsburgh Scumbags. That's just a straight-up truth. He is a thug. He, drop-kicked a kicker. That's not cool. That just shows that you're a classless player. So I can't support them putting any Steeler in the top 5, much less a thug. But, A.J. Green's just a great contributor, great professional, great athlete, and a great person. He plays the game the way it's meant to be played. He goes at it hard. He does what he needs to do, but he is not an overly, big showboat. He does how it's supposed to happen, and he's there for his teammates. He does the best that he can do. He's trying to mentor these young guys. He's a team player. So number 17th, I do feel is a snub. It's better than, putting him way up in the 30s or 40s. But to say there are 16 players in the NFL better than A.J. Green, I think that's a joke, and it kind of just goes back to the fact that, the Bengals get treated with no respect, to pull a Rodney Dangerfield. There's just no respect at all. But it's just the Bengals, if they could win a playoff game, if they could win a Super Bowl, if they were one of these, teams that actually made it deeper and did great things, perhaps he would be considered in the top 2 or 3, in all honesty. Because, what he brings to the field when he's healthy and can make plays, he's just untouchable. And I don't care. Julio Jones can't touch him. Antonio Brown can't touch him. He's hands down the best receiver in the NFL when he's healthy and when he can stay on the field. And especially now that he's not going to be quadruple covered half the time. But, there's another one of our Bengals favorites, I'll say with air quotes, so see that in your head, favorites. Has been in the news this week, but shockingly, for the first time this entire offseason, he's in the news for the right reasons. And I'm talking about Adam Jones, who ran a free football camp for inner city kids And I mean, it's just great to be able to talk about Pacman and not be shaking our head and going, why didn't we cut him yet? What do you think?
Well, we all know he's one of my least favorite players on the Bengals team. Mostly for his off the field antics. I mean, for the most part, when we talk about Adam Jones, we're talking about criminal charges, and we're just strictly talking about just what a terrible person he is. But I mean, hosting a free, I said free, FREE football camp for the inner city kids. You're talking about kids that just don't have, 2 pennies to rub together. I mean, they don't even have 1 penny to rub on the concrete. So, I mean, just showing that and going out and trying to help those inner city kids with a free football camp. I mean, at least that kind of shows some maturity. But at the same time, I mean, you got to play devil's advocate. I mean, some publicist is trying to help him out, trying to better something. Trying to tell him, like, look, dude, this is going to be better for you if you go out and do some free football camp. I mean, as bad as that sounds to say, it's got to be someone saying, hey, dude, you got to do something to better your name. I just don't see Adam Jones coming up with it. But if he did, props to him. If that was his idea and nobody else said anything about it, I think, it's a great idea for him to get involved with that. Honestly, other than just knowing that he put on a free football camp for inner city kids, it's about all I know about it. But like I said, I just don't see Adam Jones coming up with that idea by himself, just going based off of his other off the field antics.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say he doesn't care about, the youth and, inner city kids, hard knock stories, because that's kind of where he came from. But I would agree there may be some, PR guy who's like, we got to get your image a little bit better. So, maybe he didn't want to make it as public, about that he was doing a free camp or something. Like, well, this is an opportunity to kind of slide you back into the good graces with Bengals fans. So let's get some good publicity on it. But one way or the other, there's a lot of guys who would still just be like, no, I'm important. I don't have time to do this kind of garbage with the kids. I'm so-and-so, I'm a big shot. So the fact that he took time out of his day, and when in the interview we had, he was very humble about it. It's all for the kids, and this is the different age groups we have. This is the competitions they're doing. He got really excited talking about the 40-yard dash and how the kids really enjoyed doing it. So it does show a humanity to him that we don't always get to see, especially he paints himself in such a bad light on so many occasions. You got to see that this is a person, this is a human being. And maybe he just, I don't know, we've been very frustrated with him this offseason, so it's nice to be able to, mention something good about him and not have to be up here Adam Jones bashing or, trying to get the lynch mob organized to go after the witch hunt or whatever. But I feel like it's just great to see him out there reaching for doing things that are right and doing the good stuff. And hopefully that translates to staying out of trouble, to doing things right on the football field, and just continue to be, a good leader, a good role model, and a good citizen. That's really all you ask for from professional athletes. They've been given a great opportunity. Just go out there, be a good human being, be a good person, and just do what's right. And, I feel like this is a good step in the right direction. So hopefully you can continue to just build off of that, continue to, be a great person and be a great role model for all these kids that, he's out there and they're all looking up to him. I guarantee every one of them's favorite player right now is probably Adam Jones. So, Adam, if you're listening, just keep doing the right thing. That's all we want you to do. That's all the Bengals fans and Bengals Nation want you to do. So just keep going, keep it on. So speaking of keeping on. Up, Nick, you got something?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I want Adam Jones to prove me wrong. I really do. I mean, as optimistic as I would just love to be about Adam Jones, just because of how good of a football player he is. I want him to prove me wrong. I want him to prove me wrong that he can't. I want to say, like, just as a person looking at him, I want to say he cannot change. That he is who he is. He's in his 30s. He's the man he's going to be for the rest of his life. I mean, because day in and day out, that's what I see. And I want him to show me he can change. I want him to. I think he can. And I mean, it's just something that, he has to want. And I mean, if he really was like completely on board saying, yeah, free football camp for the inner city kids, great idea. I mean, absolutely phenomenal. I hope it was his idea. But me being me, I guess, I want to say it wasn't, but I want him to prove me wrong. I want him to show me that he can change off the field, and I want him to show me that he can be captain because he needs to be. He absolutely needs to be. I want him to show me that.
Well, yeah, I agree 100%. You kind of jump right back on there, and we want to have good feelings for Adam Jones. We want him to do the right thing. And that's going to not really lead us in perfectly to our next topic, but, I'll jump right into it anyway. So there's another Bengals player right now, many of them, but there's a guy who really is worried about his job security, and he rightly should be. Alex Erickson, led the AFC in kick return yards last year, and now he seems like he might be on the outside looking in. I'm not really 100% sure if he's going to stay there or not. I know we had discussed this a little bit previously. So what's your viewpoint?
I mean, Erickson has to have at least some form of doubt. I mean, with the guys that we bring in from the draft, we're looking at guys that we just signed on brand new deals. Of course, Erickson's looking at something it could be something potentially bad for him. I mean, quite frankly, he's a kick returner / slot receiver. Unfortunately, we brought in some pretty darn good receivers and a guy who's pretty darn good at kick returning. So I hope, good things for Erickson, but at the same time, I mean, I just don't see him staying. Unfortunately, I don't see him staying.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's a feisty little receiver. He's got good hands. He's got good quickness, pretty decent ball skills. He's already proven what he can do in the kick game. And I know Ross, you got Joe Mixon. They can both do kick returning. Do you really want your first-round draft pick or your second-round draft pick, who's supposed to be like your future running back, out there returning kicks? I don't think that's a smart idea. So you have a guy who's proven that he can actually be an effective kick returner, and you're just going to go, well, let's just get rid of him because we have these other guys who can do it. Well, kick returning is one of the most dangerous parts of the game. So like I said, John Ross has an injury history. He's a guy that you want, breaking down the field for deep passes. You don't want him, trying to return kicks and be worried about returning kicks, trying to learn the offense. I don't feel like he's going to be as productive if he's doing that. And then Joe Mixon, he's a young guy. He's got fresh legs. Do you want to waste some of that mileage on kick returns? No, that's stupid. It makes no sense to me. And then you have all these receivers. You have a plethora of receivers sitting out there. So if they get rid of Erickson, have one of them return kicks. You don't need the two young guys that everybody's thinking are going to replace Erickson for returning kicks. That just makes no sense to me. So we'll just have to wait and see. I think Erickson, he's been a good contributor his first season. He has some potential. He's got some upside. But I just don't know if they're really going to let him have a fair shot at it, in my opinion. They might just think, well, we got enough guys that we just don't need him. So if that's what they think, then that's unfortunate, but sometimes it's just how the cookie crumbles. But we're going to continue with our series that we've been doing. We are the Bengals, that's true. We're going to continue with our series that we've been doing this offseason, and we're going into our 50th season reflection for this week. And, 4th of July coming up, I decided, with America's birthday, we need to pick somebody special for this week. A few players that are more special in Cincinnati history for, just their personality and the impact they made, not only on Cincinnati, not only on the team, not only on the league, but on the entire, American pop culture. And of course, everybody should know what I'm talking about. That's Ickey Woods. Ickey Woods is just, an outstanding, person for the city of Cincinnati. And, he was just one of those larger than life personalities. I mean, he was ahead of his time, in my personal opinion, just with the flavor, with the attitude he brought to the game. And I mean, there is no better touchdown celebration, in my personal opinion, than the Ickey Shuffle. And anybody who tells you otherwise is just stupid and a liar. And that's why I got a bone to pick with NFL Network and a couple other places, because they don't have Ickey Shuffle as the number one touchdown celebration. Number one touchdown celebration, according to NFL Network's top 10, is the Bill White Shoes Johnson Funky Chicken, which if you ever Google it, it is the goofiest looking thing I've ever seen. It's just him just wobbling his knees. That's stupid. Victor Cruz's salsa dance was number 2. You got to be kidding me. Ickey Shuffle ranked number 4 on their top 10, which to me just, you have no concept of what a good touchdown celebration is. And then they had the Deion Sanders high step and dance as number 3. Anything that has to do with Deion Sanders, you might as well just flush down the toilet, because it's garbage instantly. But the Ickey Shuffle, it's such a simple thing to learn. It's a pop culture icon, so anybody who doesn't think the Ickey Shuffle is great is ridiculous, but he's more than the Ickey Shuffle. Ickey Woods, he only played for 4 seasons, and then he got hurt. His career got cut short. But in those 4 seasons, he had 27 touchdowns, 1,500 yards, and then he continues to do things. He has his foundation for his son who died when he was 16. He did the Geico commercial, and he's constantly active in the Cincinnati community. I've heard him do radio commercials. He's done TV commercials. He does fundraisers. He's a guy that is not from the area at all. He's actually from Fresno, California, and went to UNLV, but he feels connected to this city. He feels connected to Cincinnati. So he continues to come back and just do great things for the city. So, I mean, my hat's off to Ickey Woods. I know you got more to add.
I mean, quite frankly, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, Ickey was out at the Joe Walters golf outing, which is a very awesome golf outing if you've never been. It is for the Special Olympics. It goes to help out everything that they ever do. Special Olympics, if you don't get involved with them, you're missing out. I mean, the Special Olympics is amazing. But, I mean, everybody loves that Geico commercial. Buddy Bo, that's me. Got to get some cold cuts today. I got to love it. I love it. Ickey Woods. I mean, iconic touchdown dance. I mean, not a single touchdown dance that anybody anybody born before 1990, knows what his dance was. I mean, even the kids today, I'm pretty sure, know what the Ickey Shuffle was. I mean, like you said, he's not even from around here, and he's still involved in this community. The guy is, he's a man. He's a man among children. I mean, honestly, Ickey Woods. You get to meet him in person, and he's just the kind of man that you think that he would be if you would just meet him as a normal individual and never even knew his name, never knew what he looked like. Ickey Woods is just that type of person. And he's personable. He's somebody who you can talk to as a certain individual. Like if you just met him while you were looking for fishing gear at like Field and Stream, or if you were looking for, your son's football pads over at Dick's Sporting Goods or any sporting goods store. He's just the type of guy that you could just walk, like you'd be walking down the street, look over and say, "How you doing, dude?" And he would talk to you. Just that type of guy. You can't pick a better person for Independence Day than Ickey Woods. Awesome. Absolutely amazing. I love it.
I don't know if I've ever told you, but you are the Yogi Berra of this podcast. There's times that you just get me confused by the way you talk around your own words. It's hilarious to listen to. I love it. So that's going to move us into a roasted. Go ahead.
Hold on, Casey. You know, if you're going to bring up Yogi Berra, you got to pull up the most famous quote ever. If there is a fork in the road, you take it.
Oh, that's priceless. So, yeah, we're going to move it on into Roasted or Boasted for this week. And, talking about receivers, we're going to kind of stick with that theme. I know it's going to be the third topic we've had with them. But so Brandon LaFell, Roasted or Boasted, will make a big impact this season. I'll let you lead off.
I'm going to roast it. I think Brandon LaFell is going to get his due this year. I mean, he's put in the work. He's put in the time. I think he's going to get his due this year. I think he's going to come out, and I think Dalton's going to be more comfortable with him because he's going to have some time with him. And I think that Brandon LaFell is going to have his due. So I'm definitely roasting that all the way. I mean, I think he has the skills. And I think he just, quite frankly, he has the ability to do what he needs to do. Just to be, especially when you got John Ross and AJ Green. I mean, who's your drop down receiver to throw to? I think Brandon LaFell is going to pull out like Hushmanzada did when you had Jed Johnson and any other standout wide receiver on the team. So I think that LaFell is going to be our Hushmanzada.
I think you're absolutely nuts. Brandon LaFell doesn't even have a spot on this team anymore, if you ask me. You might as well just get cut like Brandon Tate did last season. You got John Ross behind AJ Green. You got Tyler Boyd. You got Cody Core. Heck, I might even keep Alex Erickson over Brandon LaFell at this point. I mean, he's getting slow. He's getting old. You got a bunch of young receivers who can make a good job. That other kid from Tennessee, I never remember his name, but he might even make a bigger impact. I feel like if you keep a roster spot for LaFell, you're just setting yourself up for a failure in the future. There's just no point in keeping him. It's just absolutely silly to even consider that. So I'm saying he will not have a big impact this year. Absolutely not. In no way have a big impact. So I just feel like, his time in Cincinnati is not going to be very long. They signed him to a contract because they weren't really sure how the draft was going to fall out, how the rest of free agency was going to come together. But he just doesn't have a spot on this team anymore. So I don't feel like Brandon LaFell is actually going to make it anywhere, and this is going to be a very unproductive season for him, or he's not even going to make it to the season. And that kind of moves us into another roasted or boasted topic. So roasted or boasted, the Bengals are in a better position to be successful at this point in the offseason than they were in the offseason of 2015 when they won their first 8 games. What do you think?
I mean, you got to boast it. I mean, you have Joe Mixon, John Ross, and I mean, as long as Joe Mixon stays out of trouble off the field, again, let me repeat that. As long as Joe Mixon stays in trouble off the field, and as long as John Ross stays healthy, AJ Green stays healthy, and then you have Hill in the backfield. I mean, I think you're setting yourself up for success. I mean, I think that, the defense is coming around. The Bengals always have at least a decent defense. Normally the problem is the offense and production. So you're looking at team on offense, and the Bengals defense, it's coming around to look like it's halfway decent. I mean, hopefully they can pick up some players some players further on to fill in spots where they're kind of shallow in the depth chart. But I think it's coming around. I think that they are definitely more talented now than they were at this point. 1-8 straight. I mean, I think it's. I think that's no brainer. It's a boasted.
I don't know. I'm not buying it yet. I'm very, like I said, that cautious optimism is working into regular optimism at this point, but I'm still just not quite buying it. I mean, that 2015 team, it had the same core group. It had been together for a while. They had made the playoffs the previous 4 years. So they were just on the right track. They knew what they were. They knew what they could do. They knew what they were capable of. This team's still very unproven. I mean, is it exciting? Because you have all these, big name draft picks and all the first, third round draft pick from last year. You got them ready to go this year. So you're getting a lot of guys that you've never seen before in Bengals uniforms, getting an opportunity to play. So that's exciting. But I don't quite think that they're in a better position than they were before the 2015 season. I feel like that team was a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and the league treated them like that too. And, the NFL or ESPN, everybody's like, the Bengals have a chance. And I mean, if, coulda, woulda, shoulda, whatever. But if Dalton wouldn't have got hurt, you never know. It could have been the Bengals' year. He was having the best year of his career, so it could have been a great thing. But I just don't feel comfortable boasting that at this point. I don't think the 2017 edition has proven enough for me to feel more or comfortable enough to say a team that won the first 8 games is not better than a team with a bunch of unproven rookies and a bunch of new guys coming in. But hopefully they turn out better because 9-0, 10-0, or just a Super Bowl ring. I don't care if you go 8-8. That's all I want to see. If you get a Lombardi Trophy and a ring, you can go 8-8, you can go 7-9, and barely squeak into the playoffs somehow by default. I don't care. Just come home with the Lombardi Trophy, and I think everyone in Cincinnati will be okay with that. So getting back to the 4th of July. So when it comes down to 4th of July, people have a couple different ways they like to celebrate. Either you have that nice family cookout at home where you do your own fireworks, or you go out to some big event where they're doing a big show of fireworks. So roasted or boasted, fireworks at home are better than fireworks at the big show.
I mean, that's a roasted all day. I mean, you go out to the WEBN fireworks, and those things are awesome. But, I mean, you also have certain cities around northern Kentucky, like Florence. I mean, both cities do very good fireworks. Florence's fireworks are actually, I'm pretty sure, done by Rozzy, the same people who do WEBN. So, I mean, you're looking at fireworks shows that are absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, it's accelerating, Casey. I know what you're going to say. You're gonna boast it, but I'm roasting it. I think that fireworks shows that you don't have to put on. You can just simply sit back, relax, and just watch the fireworks go off, and just enjoy the show. I think that is 100%, 100% better than having to set them off yourself. Now, going in the backyard, Casey, and shooting off bottle rockets and firecrackers, and shooting off the mortars one at a time by yourself or with friends and family. I think that's fun. But at the same time, I mean, let's just be honest. Watching all that stuff go off coordinated, I think that's pretty darn good. That's definitely a lot better than shooting them off yourself.
Your man card is officially revoked. If you're a man and you don't like lighting off your own fireworks, you need to just go ahead and hand in your man card and just call it a day. Because there is nothing more fun on the 4th of July than just blowing stuff up. Watching stuff get blown up is not quite as fun. Just sit out in your backyard. You can pick which fireworks you want to do next and just blow stuff up. There's nothing better. Nothing says America like blowing things up. It's great. So, I mean, I do enjoy the big shows. I like Fireworks Fridays at the Reds. I mean, but to even prove my point a little bit more, Florence is lighting their fireworks off on the 3rd, so that way you can be at home on the 4th to blow up your own fireworks. Like I said, nothing says America like shooting up your own freedom into the air and watching it explode as a firework goes off outside. Great timing, person. Outstanding. But yeah, doing them at home is the best thing you can do. It is the ultimate way to celebrate the 4th of July. So I'm boasting 100% that doing them at home is more patriotic and more for America than going to watch somebody else shoot off fireworks. Keep your own personal freedom.
Oh, gosh, Casey. Losing your man card. I'm all about shooting off my own darn fireworks. Come on now. I mean, it's America, for God's sakes. I mean, America. I mean, you got to blow stuff up on the 4th of July, but, I mean, at the same time, I mean, after you shoot off your own fireworks or, the day before going out and watching, your hometown go out, like in Florence, go out and, watch them shoot off the fireworks and do all that, and then go home and, the next day, next night, go out, shoot off your own fireworks. That's definitely amazing. I mean, no doubt about it, going out shooting off your own fireworks is awesome and more patriotic. I'll say that. But at the same time, I mean, watching the big fireworks shows is just amazing to see the choreography and everything of it.
And remember, every time you shoot off your own fireworks, an eagle gets its wings. That's going to bring me into our final thoughts for this week. So I'm going to go totally off the football topic, and I'm going to continue on with Independence Day, which most people may not even realize that the 4th of July is actually Independence Day. So please do me a favor. If you just think it's called the 4th of July and that we just celebrate awesomeness, which is great, please do me a favor and Google, Independence Day, July 4th, 1776, and just figure out what this is really about. And then to actually be thankful and take pride in why you're an American, why you're actually proud to be an American, and then celebrate the 4th the right way. But happy 4th of July, everybody. Nick, what are your closing thoughts?
I'm going to continue on that thought. I was thinking about going a different way, but I definitely agree with what you're saying. Google Independence Day, July 4th, 1776. Google why America was built with free thought and, freedom of religion and, the right to bear arms, the right to not to be, to illegal search and seizure. I mean, and the right to be represented. I mean, your Bill of Rights and the rest of the Constitution. Google all that. Google why we fought for that. Why our ancestors right. Back in the late 1700s, and understand why America was built the way that it is today, and understand that those freedoms are freedoms that other countries do not, and I will not enjoy those freedoms. I mean, we have the right to be able to sit there and say that we don't like our president. Whether or not I like our president is irrelevant. But, I mean, you have the right to say that. You have the right to say that you don't like the person who represents you in Congress. You have the right to say that you don't like the media and that you don't understand why this person is saying this. Or you have the right to disagree. You have the right to express that disagreement. And you have the right to peacefully protest. I mean, I think that those are great rights. Those are great things. So just understand it. Understand the reason why we have our country and the reason why we're so grateful to have what we have.
And that's going to do it for us this week on Talkin Bengals. So check us out on iTunes, Google Play. Also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And happy Independence Day, everybody. Hooday.
Hey.